What's going on? It's your boy Terry. This is the Sit with T segment with my guy JR from the Scrub Me In podcast, man.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going
Hey,
on,
I
brother?
appreciate you. I appreciate you, my boy.
Hey.
Listen, before we get started,
Ooh.
shout out to T and everything he got going on with the podcast scene. Big ups, man. Got to give you your flowers.
I appreciate you.
This shit ain't easy, man.
Clearly, we see.
You feel me? Like, yo.
We just witnessed this.
Yeah, man. So, no, big shout out to you and everything you got going on, my boy.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, we just gonna get straight into it. First question I want to ask, man. Is this election overwhelming, bro? Like, man, I'm almost getting tired of it. I report on it every week. Like,
yeah, man, it's crazy right now. I really haven't been too tapped into it, just because I've been working as well as I'm in nurse practitioner school, so that's been taking up a lot of my attention right now. But I've been seeing a few clips here and there and tapping into your podcast and seeing. But yeah, Kamala Harris and Trump. I don't know. This might go down to the wire, don't you think?
oh, it's definitely going down to the wire.
Yeah.
I already know who I want to win, but I'm gonna announce that in a later date.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Do you think, regardless of whoever in the presidency or the governor of any state or country, because you in Canada, right?
Yeah, I'm in Canada. A whole different dynamic out there.
Does that affect what your work is now?
I would think so. So whoever wins this election, it could definitely impact Canadians that actually do cross over to the States and work in different ways. I'm not sure as opposed to different occupations, but I know for nursing it could change, but I'm not sure how, but it's possible.
Okay. This is very important, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. So wherever you pick, just make sure your job is secure after this, because you never know, especially in the hospital field. We about to get into it a lot, especially in depth. So y'all stay tuned. But, man, tell people a little bit about yourself, man, about your upcoming first before we get into anything.
Yeah, so first and foremost, as you all know, my name is Junior. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia initially. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. I'm American first. And then my mom moved myself and my brother to Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
Shout out to the 6, you feel me? Yeah. So moved to the 6, Toronto, when I was 10, did my schooling up until I finished nursing school. Moved from Toronto straight to Windsor, which is right by the border of Detroit.
Right.
And then, graduated, started my first job at Detroit Receiving Hospital. Yeah, man, it's the trenches. That's the trenches, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, woo! Man, but a lot of good people. I feel like if you can make it there as a nurse, you can make it anywhere. No cap.
Yeah, I believe that. Like I said, that's where we first met each other in the first place, man. It was so wild, man. But to pick it back on some of where you said you lived in Canada and then moved to Windsor, right?
Yeah. Well, no. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and then I moved to Canada, specifically Toronto. And then when I got to the point on where I needed to select a college or a university, I selected the University of Windsor. I didn't really think nothing much of it. It was really my last choice. Right. You feel me? But went there and selected nursing as my profession, graduated, and then started working in the States.
What made you choose nursing? Because I don't hear a lot of, at least from over here, black people who actually, specifically black men who actually want to become nurses. So what made you even want to get into that?
No, that's a good question. I guess it started off with my mother. Shout out to my moms.
Okay.
She kind of motivated me to go into the profession. Not even kind of. She did motivate me to go into the profession. My mom's actually, she used to be a nurse. She retired now. She retired from the game. She's into doing paralegal and all that now and owning properties.
Shout out to moms.
Yeah, shout out to mom. So she motivated me to go into that profession. And back then when we used to live in Atlanta, I was a youngin'. Whenever I couldn't get a babysitter, she would bring me with her to class. So they would do assessments on me, listen to my heartbeat, breathing sound with a stethoscope. That kind of intrigued me a little bit at that age as well too. But as I grew older, I initially wanted to be a chef. I couldn't cook a damn thing, if I'm being honest with you. Couldn't cook no goddamn ramen noodles to save my life. You feel me? But yeah, so she kind of deterred me from that direction and said, go into the profession. Not a lot of males in there, and you're always gonna have a consistent job in nursing. So yeah.
That's what's up, man. That's a hell of a story.
Yeah,
So, what about the actual nursing school? Because it's a lot that go into nursing school, man. I didn't heard it from so many different type of nurses, man. So many different type of stories.
man.
So, how was nursing school, in particularly the undergrad program, before you actually get accepted into the nursing?
Man, so undergrad, it was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie to you. Nursing is initially a 4-year program.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 5 years, and the reason being is because I failed my first year.
Okay.
It was rough, man. So I guess I just wasn't really prepared. I wasn't mature enough. You know, the parties, the girls, the distractions. I was away from home. I didn't really have my core family around me or my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt as if that affected me mentally,
Right.
and I didn't really know it until it was too late. But you know, I thugged it through, went back, repeated that year that I failed, completed the whole program, and started working. But honestly, it's a tough program. If you're not mentally ready to like sacrifice friends, family, parties, it's not really the profession for you. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but you know, you can still party but in moderation, you feel me? But overall, I think it's a good profession to get into. You'll have a consistent job, a stable job. With nursing, you could do anything.
Right.
You could be a cruise ship nurse. You could be a weed nurse. Yeah, I said weed nurse.
Weed nurse.
They got that out there. Disney nurse. You could be a nurse at Disney. Get the tickets for the low. Sell them if you want. You feel me? But yeah, there's so much you can do. Jail nurse. So much. Prison nurse. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one right now.
There's so much.
So, man, that's crazy, man. So you failed. Like, it's a lot of people who I heard, failed their first time around.
And then they just go somewhere else. They move. But
what made you stick with that? Because I know, for what I heard from multiple nurses, y'all can't fail that many times like any other program.
Yeah. So in my program, there's 3 strikes.
Okay.
In that first year, I already fucked up 2.
Damn.
So most people in my situation, they would bounce. They would go with something else.
Right.
But I said to myself, nah, I got to thug it out. I hate losing. I'm a very competitive person.
Okay.
But in this situation, it's like, do I really want to waste more money and potentially risk, my career and the time? So I had a discussion with my moms, and I had a discussion with one professor that I had, and, they encouraged me to stick it through and thug it out, which I did. So I'm thankful for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful for a lot of people, but specifically for the one professor and my mom for, talking to me and keeping me in.
Man, now y'all see how important education is, especially teachers, because like you said, all it took was this one teacher and his mom to really stick it out. Do you think if we knew your mom was going to be there because that's just that's in their nature, do you think if that teacher wasn't there, you would have pursued it?
Probably not, honestly, because I felt as if my other professors were on my ass. Like, I felt as if they were kind of bullying me. Mind you, I'm one of the few black male nursing students in that program. A majority of the student population in nursing, they're females.
Yeah.
So I would say the ratio, probably like 90% females, maybe 95, and then the other 5 is males. There's a few of us. And on top of that, black males, goddamn 0.01%
Man.
at that. So if she wasn't there, so going back to your question, if she wasn't there, probably not. I probably would have booked it and went to a different profession, honestly speaking. Maybe HK, I think it's called human kinesiology, or something else, or maybe be a chef. But nah, yeah. So that's what that is, yeah.
Man, that's crazy, man, because it's, like you said, you could have just went on through, went somewhere else, and then on top of that, there's so many people who transfer to a different program, and that's when we start to see the dropout rates.
Yeah, and that next program ain't the right fit for them either.
Right.
Maybe the program that you were in initially was the right fit, but you just weren't focused. You weren't really locked in like that.
Right. So
yeah,
that's crazy. So let's talk about life as a nurse now. Yeah. So when you finally pass the program, you finally pass the state exam. I heard that state exam a motherfucker, because I know people I know plenty of people that failed it the first time.
Guilty. I failed that shit too.
It's really that hard,
man. I guess I just didn't store. So I'm the type of person where I got to study with somebody.
Okay.
I felt as if a lot of people in the program, when we all graduated, they all studied individually, which makes sense. But me, I'm the type of person that doesn't really know how to study individually. I need to have a partner with me or a group of people. I'm a group studier.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Get me 3, 4, 5 girls that are good looking. I'm gonna pay attention. You dig? Like, so that was me in nursing school. I stuck with all the girls that were good looking and I was focused. But when it came down to being on my lonely, studying for that exam, man, I failed that first time. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was a waste of $300, $400. Yeah. Then I had to write it again and I eventually passed. But yeah, you just gotta figure out a good study strategy for you, honestly speaking. So I used a lot. I purchased a few resources online, test books, utilized YouTube, and then I got it that second time. But yeah, man, that test ain't no joke. So with the test, it's 200. It might have changed now because I graduated in 2016.
Okay.
But back then, it was about 275 questions max. And then the least that you could answer is probably 75 questions. So 75 to 275. Yeah. And you're
so you're not required to answer all of them?
No. You do.
Okay.
I'm saying like, so it's a standardized test. So, you answering your questions. If you're doing well, it's going to keep going up and giving you more difficult questions.
Okay.
Now, if you're answering them wrong, and mind you don't know if you're answering it wrong, it's giving you more easier questions to see if you can, pass that threshold. So for me, I guess that first time I was just answering them wrong, man. Like I just wasn't getting any difficult questions, at least to me. But that's typically how it goes. So the least questions that you can get is 75. The max is 275. And then it'll just shut off on you. And you don't know why it shuts off. It could have shut off because you passed or you failed. That's it. No in between.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And thank you for that information because a lot of people who trying to go into nursing school, especially like my little cousin Essen, she's actually in the nursing program. That's something she may not even know.
Oh, man. Send me her info. I got some notes for her, man. I got some good resources.
I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to do that.
But yeah, it's a 6-hour test. So, yeah, make sure you bring some snacks and some juice because it's going to be a long day.
And you got to sit there the whole time?
Sit there on the screen. Just strain your eyes, man. I'm telling you.
That's just I'm telling
you. So, funny thing, like that first exam that I failed, in the beginning of every exam that you write with it's called the NCLEX. So the nursing board exam is called the NCLEX. So they give you a survey in the beginning, ask you what your name is, where you're from, your race. That first time I put black. I'm a black African American, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then when I failed, I'm like, you know what? Fuck, maybe I shouldn't have put that. Because I felt as if, as a black man, as black people, we think we're always targeted. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that second time I put Caucasian and I passed that bitch.
Really?
Now, mind you, I did the work. I studied. But, just subconsciously, I felt as if, that gave me a little extra mark.
Extra bump.
Yeah. So do not put black if you black. Put Caucasian. Yes, sir.
Crazy.
But no, for real, send me your cousin's info, and I got a lot of notes. And
I definitely will.
Some good resources.
Yeah, because I think she got one more year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, lovely.
So she almost there. Mm-hmm. So life as a nurse. So after you passed everything, how was it? Like, where did you go straight?
Yeah. So initially, I moved back to Toronto for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Stayed with my mom, trying to find a job. At that time, I applied to so many places, so many hospitals, so many nursing homes, and nowhere really gave me a call back. Once again, I felt as if because I was African American, I'm black. Mm. So I'm applying to these places, calling, leaving voicemails. Nowhere got back to me. So one day my mom's like, you're an American citizen. Why don't you just move back to Windsor and just cross the border and work there? I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. So that's what I did. So I went online, applied to Detroit Receiving. I shit you not, man. I applied the same day. They gave me a call the same day. Mm. Yeah. Had a job interview maybe a week after. Got the job the same day that I had that interview.
Mm. Who interviewed you?
The manager at the time was Donna.
Oh, Donna.
She was on 5T, Neuro ICU. Yeah, okay. Shout out to Donna. I don't know if she still works there, but yeah. She gave me my first opportunity.
What was the first units that you worked in?
Yeah, so I was on a neuro ICU in Detroit receiving, which is 5T.
They put you
Man,
straight in the trenches. Like, they
man.
don't
So the thing with the ICU is, and with Detroit receiving, the reason why I like that facility so much is because they give you the necessary training that you need.
Right.
6 months to be exact. So 3 months you're in the classroom. You're in the classroom doing modules. You're on that computer screen just learning the basics on how to be, I guess, an ICU nurse essentially. Then after that 3 months, they then put you on the floor. And you're with a veteran nurse that's kind of showing you the ropes and you're shadowing under them. So I did that, and then at that point, you get thrown into the pack or thrown into the field, I guess. And it was a huge adjustment. I didn't feel as if I was ready until maybe the 8th or 9th month. That's when I felt comfortable as a nurse in the ICU. And mind you, at that time, I was probably like 22, 23 as a nurse. So I still felt young at that time and still felt as if I had a lot to learn, but you're just independently thrown out there and you just got to fend for yourself, really.
To me, 22, 23 is young. I mean, technically, well, I just turned 30, so we technically still young, even though we got experience and stuff like that. Especially you. I mean, 8 years, especially at Detroit. Well, we're going to get into where you worked at and all that, but yeah, so you said 5T prepared you for anything.
It essentially prepared me for anything. So I was there for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then I transitioned over to the pre-op and PACU area. For people that don't know, when you're going into surgery, you have the pre-op and the recovery unit and the OR. So pre-op, they kind of get you situated for your surgery, ask you questions, you sign a consent form. Oh, you're having this surgery done. They start the IV, get your height, weight, et cetera, vital signs, all that. Then you go into the operating room, they do the surgery. And then after that, you then come out to the recovery area where we essentially, make sure, your vital signs are good after the surgery. You're not in pain management. Once you're more awake, we give you that turkey sandwich, that cranberry juice, and then we get you the hell out of there. Or if you're inpatient, we send you up to your room and, you just recover up there for a couple of days before we send you out.
Okay. So I want to stick to 5T because you said that's the intensive care unit. How many people, in your opinion, make it out of there? Because I know I have seen a lot of people make it, especially when I was there working at receiving. I think it was 5R or 5S.
Okay.
That was a room, like that was an extra room, but it was almost like hospice, kind of like. So how many people be scared to even go into like 5T and all that? Because some people don't be too messed up.
You mean as a nurse or like patient?
Patient wise.
Man, sometimes some patients don't even know where they're at. They don't even know that they're on 5T. A lot of so for individuals that don't know, 5T, like I said, is the neuro ICU. So neurologically, your brain. We get individuals that have seizures, individuals that have brain injuries, strokes, what else? Brain bleeds, stuff like that. You feel me? So, gunshots to the head. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh. So sometimes they'll be in there for months, maybe a year. I've seen a patient be on 5T for at least a year and some change. Yeah, you can be in there for a long time and you may not even know where you're at or why you're in there. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of people make full recoveries and we send them out, and I've seen a lot of people not make it, honestly speaking. So
you don't be nervous with handling, especially at that young age. You more seasoned now, but I know it's still different. But at that young age, how was it?
Oh my God, I was nervous as shit. So I remember I had this one patient. I'm not gonna say her name, of course, confidentiality, but she was like 17 or 18, and crazy enough, she was Canadian. So they brought her over to the American side because the injuries that she sustained were just out of this world. Essentially, she was driving, I guess, to a party with her boyfriend, and she was in the passenger seat. She didn't have her seatbelt on. The boyfriend was speeding, and I guess he lost control and hit the median, which is that middle part in the road. Concrete part in the road. And she got ejected from the windshield 30, 40 feet. Yeah. So police, firemen, they all came to the scene. And, I mean, they saw the boyfriend because he had a seatbelt on. He was still engaged in the vehicle. But they knew there was another passenger there because the windshield, like, it looked like someone got busted through. So they were looking. It took them at least like maybe 15, 20 minutes to find who got ejected through that windshield. Yeah. So they analyzed and they saw that, she got ejected like 30, 40 feet. So it took them a while to really go down and find where she had flew into.
Damn, man.
But she was in the hospital for about maybe like, I want to say 10, 11 months.
And she made it?
She made it, surprisingly. Yeah. Damn. Man, them young people, man, they got some fast generators. You know what I mean? Definitely drinking her milk.
Yeah, man, because I ain't gonna lie, when I was a transporter there, especially I started at receiving around 2017, maybe, because I was at Harper Hospital.
Okay, yeah.
And it was, if y'all ever worked in DMC or went to DMC, Harper Hospital and Receiving Hospital is two totally different hospitals. Like, completely different.
Man.
Night and day, like. But I say this, it is some amazing workers that work at Receiving Hospital and Harper, 100%. Don't get me wrong. But it's some people like, because usually that's more the people who just get into it, especially when it comes to doctors and nurses, to me at Receiving.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I always felt like Receiving was the black side. I don't know, you ever felt
like
that?
Yeah, I did feel like that,
yeah. And then Harper, to me, just seemed like, the suburbs. That's kind of how I, BRH was the hood, and then Harper was the suburbs. That's kind of how I seen it, perceived it to be.
It definitely was that. So you working in there a couple of years on 5T, and then you went to the pre-op PACU.
Yes. Was there for another 2.5 years.
How was that transition? Is them two totally different type of?
Completely different, man. And I'm thankful I made that switch. So in the ICU, very taxing on the mind, body, and soul. I said to myself, I need change. And the reason why I needed change was because sometimes I'd be going home and I would just be waking up in the middle of the day because I was a night shifter. I'd wake up in the middle of the day and I'd be like, man, like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Just like nightmares in a sense, like PTSD type shit. I'd be hearing call bells in my ear, the ventilator, and I'd be at home on my off days. So I said, I gotta switch this up. So that's why I switched over to the PACU recovery area. And the transition was very smooth. You don't really deal with that much. You don't really deal with having two patients there that are trauma codes or individuals that have extensive injuries like you do in the ICU. You're essentially just dealing with people that are coming out of surgery, giving them their pain meds, making sure they're okay from the anesthesia. Like I mentioned, give them some turkey sandwiches, cranberry juice, do some education, teach them how to use their crutches, et cetera, and then you send them home. That's about it. So it was a very smooth transition. Because when you're working in the ICU, that's the highest of the high. That and ER. Oh, you could work anywhere after that.
Right.
So it was a smooth transition for me, for sure.
Okay. How do you think, because I hear a lot of nurses talk about this, how do you think we can help out nurses, especially when it comes to the fact y'all get burnt out quickly in y'all careers? Is it anything that can help out with that?
Oh, yeah. There's a cure for that. It's called money. pay us more money. You feel me? Like, pay us more money. And pay us like the doctors.
And I've been an advocate on that for about 2-3 years now, because listen, we about to talk about the COVID situation. We was in there. I saw a lot of nurses in there, gowned up.
Yeah.
PPE used every time, and the doctors was at the crib calling y'all.
Yeah, literally.
For
real. They were calling us to come in. Could be your off day. Man, I would do 6 in a row, and they still come in. Hey, we need help. We short staffed. It's like, come on, man, for real. Like, but pay us more money. If there is a shortage of nurses right now, the solution is simple: pay them more money.
So what is the average nurse salary if you were?
Yeah. So when I first graduated, this was back in 2016 now, $28 an hour is what I was getting paid. This was in 2016. Now, if you're working the night shift, you can get like a premium where it's like an extra $1 or $2. And on top of that, if you work weekends, that's another, I guess you could say $2 as well too. So that bumped me up to like $32 an hour. That's why I selected working the night shift, because of that premium.
Okay.
And I loved working weekends. I'm not a party guy anymore after first year nursing school. So I would always work the weekends, pick up as much as I could. So I was roughly getting around $32 an hour. Nurses now, depending on the state, it really varies. In Detroit, it could be like 35 now an hour, maybe 35 to 40.
Okay.
I don't know, but I'm not sure for like the hospital setting, because right now I work at a surgical center. So it could be 35 to 40 now in the hospital setting.
Okay. So pretty much need to get paid more.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Just like how people were getting paid during the pandemic, it should be at least close to that, in my opinion. And you will see a lot of nurses pick up more shifts and not quit at all, in my eye.
Speaking about the pandemic, when the pandemic first started, where was you at? Like,
oh man, you know where I was at. Shout out to this guy. On God, like, yo. So let me break it down. I was in the PACU. I was recovering a patient, getting them ready to send them home. And I had put in for a transporter to come through to get that patient and I guess walk them to wheel them to their family member's car. And you had came down and you said, why the hell are you still here? And I'm like, what you mean? The pandemic's going on. Nurses are leaving here. They're making excess amount of money in this state and that state. And I was sitting there like, damn, for real? I knew, but I didn't really take it in like that. So after you had took my patient and left, I swear to God, I went on the computer. I started doing research. I started hitting up people like, yo, are you doing travel nursing right now? Are you involved in the pandemic? Like, or the bandemic is what they call it.
The bandemic, boy.
The bandemic. So I hit up one guy, and he's like, yeah, man, you need to come down here right now. He used to work at receiving. His name was Orlando. I'm not sure if you
Oh, Orlando. That's my guy still.
Yeah, shout out to Orlando.
Shout out to Orlando.
So he was the one that I hit up. And then he was like, yeah, you need to come down here right now. And I'm like, I don't know about that. You're not really giving me a lot to really be motivated to go do this right now. So he's like, hold on, give me 1 second. So I waited. He sent me an image through iMessage. It was a pay stub. And man, the zeros. All I'm gonna say is the zeros, man. Bro, I think in 1 week he had made like $13,000 in 1 week.
Yeah.
And I'm in the recovery unit, sipping on some cranberry juice, eating popsicles, all the free shit that they got in there, the snacks. And I'm like, yo, I gotta do better for myself right now. So instantly I put in my 2 weeks notice and I called the agency and I said, yo, put me on a flight. I'm ready. So that's what happened.
So where you to talk about the pandemic before we ask you where you were stationed first.
Yeah.
How did that mess with your mental, just seeing like what was really going on in it? I'm talking about that March to like May was crazy in there.
Yeah. For me, I'm a very strong-willed person. Mentally, I'm good, but thankfully none of my family members were affected by COVID. But when you come into work and you're just, I guess it affected me when a lot of my staff members or coworkers were calling in sick. Fake sick, if you will. Like they were just tired of the bullshit, honestly speaking. Because they had transitioned the recovery unit to an ICU.
Yeah, that was ICU, yeah.
Yeah, so they turned it into an ICU. And I had just left the ICU. I wanted to get away from that. So seeing it firsthand, the amount of patients that were on ventilators, and these are young adults too. Like I'm talking 23, 24 on ventilators. You rarely see that. On top of that, you got the elderly population as well too that are on the ventilators. It was just saddening to see the amount of bodies that were just dying every day.
When I say y'all just had to be there, we was at receiving, probably the biggest hospital in Detroit, especially when it comes to acute care and all that. But when I tell y'all, it was so many bodies getting thrown on these trucks. Y'all just had to be there.
You had to, man. You had to.
It was days where they was making y'all stay at the hospital.
Oh yeah. Yeah, people were sleeping at the hospital. Yeah. Nurses were sleeping. Almost all the staff members were sleeping at the hospital because they just had nobody to take over their shift.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it was.
That's like it.
Oh my God. It's nuts. It was nuts. And the funny thing is, 60, 70 years from now, when they talk about this in school, the vaccine, the world was shut down. those kids, they're gonna be like, man, shut up.
Man, I
they
swear
shut
to God,
down
they
the
ain't
world.
gonna even
What? They gave y'all the vaccine and y'all were still on lockdown? Yeah, we still were. Like, that's how crazy it was.
It was
They not gonna believe this 60, 70 years from now. They won't. They won't.
Yeah, it's crazy. So when you first got into the travel nursing, where did you get stationed at first?
So I was with this agency called Crucial Staffing. It's probably one of the biggest. It was the main agency out there back in that time. And essentially how it goes is you call the hotline. No, let me rewind back. They put a posting on Instagram to let you know that, hey, we're active, we're live. Call this hotline and see if you can get stationed and picked. So that's what I did. I called the hotline, and you're on hold for a long time, I would say, because a lot of people are now calling this hotline to get a placement. So I finally got on the line. They ask you for your nursing license. I think at the time your flu shot, all that, CPR. And once you get in, they pretty much send you to wherever. You really don't have a choice wherever you go. But for me, thankfully, I did. They told me I could either choose El Paso, Texas, or Dallas, Texas. To me, it was a no-brainer. I'm going to Dallas. Yeah, I don't even know where El Paso is, and I think it's right by the border, the Mexican border. So I ain't trying to get involved in no cartel shit. You feel me? So I said, put me in Dallas.
You say El Chapo waiting on you right there?
Yeah. Put me in Dallas where the Mavericks play. You feel me? So that's where I went. I was at Dallas, Texas. They put me in a beautiful hotel, the Sheraton. Couldn't complain.
So with that being said, how many... You ain't got to say if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Did you work every day when you were stationed down there? Because I know some people.
Man, so this is the thing. Before even arriving to Dallas, I was mentally preparing myself because I knew, we're in a pandemic. They're going to put me to work. I land there on a Sunday. I do my paperwork, boom, 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 fill out everything. They give me my room key. I'm in room 305, whatever. They tell me, be back here in the morning. We're going to be in the auditorium. Big auditorium. Wake up in the morning, go down to the auditorium. I'm talking at least 250, 300 people in this auditorium. I'm thinking everybody in here are nurses. No. They got RTs in there as well, too. So we're sitting down, listening to, I don't know, I guess they had some conference call going on speaker and everybody could hear it. They were talking about logistics. These are how many gloves we have, how many masks we have, how many cases we have, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, that voice hangs up. A lady walks up onto the stage. She's talking, and she's like, all right, guys, that's about it for today. Just sign in, and then you guys can go back to your room. We'll see you back down here at 6 p.m., and then you guys can sign back out, and that's your shift. So I was staged. I was confused. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I asked Leah, I'm like, what's going on? Are we not going to be working in the hospital? They go, no, we already have people in the hospital right now. You guys are on standby. So essentially, we were the subs. You feel me? So if someone gets injured, if someone quits, whatever the case may be, fired, they're going to handpick somebody out of the 250, 300 people that were in that auditorium to replace that nurse.
Okay.
There is a high turnover rate. But the crazy thing about it is when someone's quitting and then you're refilling that spot with someone that was in that auditorium, you got someone else that's being flown out from somewhere else into that hotel, back into that pool of 250, 300. So I was staged for about, I want to say 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks getting paid, doing nothing. Just watching basketball in my hotel room service, chilling. Yeah.
The life of a male nurse. Oh my God.
That was back in the pandemic. It ain't like that anymore.
Right.
But man, I had met this one girl. She had been staged for 12 weeks.
It ain't do nothing?
Ain't do nothing. She was like a ghost. One day I was walking, I'm like, I ain't, like maybe on my 4th week. I'm like, hey, I've never seen you before. You knew? She goes, no, I've been here. I'm like, for real? She goes, yeah, I just don't want to be noticed and seen. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I'm like, how long you been here for? She was like 12 weeks. I'm like, 12 weeks? So weekly, when you're staged, you're getting 10K right off the bat. Yeah. 10K a week. So if you're there for 12 weeks, that's 120K. So I'm like, oh man, that's amazing. She goes, yeah, but I think I'm going to go back home to Florida. I miss my kids, and I think I want to take them to Disneyland. Because Florida back then was still open. They were still on some crazy shit back there. So she said she wanted to go back home to see her family. her kids and take them to Disney World. I'm like, why? You're still stage. You can still run it up. She goes, yeah, I'm just tired. I'm just tired of being in this room for 12 weeks, 13 weeks. I'm like, hey, whatever, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when you're stage, you're still getting paid until they call you, and then you're still getting paid on top of that, but a little bit more. So that's how it was.
Were y'all able to leave or anything, or y'all had to?
They didn't advise it, but there were a lot of people that left to go to, I guess, some bars that were open, because Dallas, a few places were open.
Yeah, I might say it was.
What else? I know a few people went to the mall, because a few girls invited me to go to the mall with them and to do where else? Into the bars. But I was like, nah, I ain't trying to fuck up this money right now.
Right.
Let me act right. You feel me? But I do know in the hotel, a lot of things were shut down, like the pools, the gym. The gym was still open, but I guess the agency didn't want us to go in there. But a lot of people were going in there like midnight, 1 a.m. when everybody was asleep. So I was in there lifting up, but yeah, they didn't advise us to go in there.
Man, it sounded like a great time to be alive if you were a nurse.
Shit, at that time, yeah, that was prime time. That was prime time nursing. And it's crazy because I told a lot of friends about it. They just didn't believe me. A lot of them were like, I don't want to really leave this job. It's stable. I have a family. I have a house. All understandable. I'm married. All right, let your husband handle all that.
Right.
Hell, you just come down here, make that money, and your husband can hold it down for you. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them, yeah, they refused to come down just because they were afraid that they wouldn't get back their job when the pandemic ended. I'm like, you're making 10 a week.
Right.
The fuck you talking about? So that's kind of how it was for some people. And I know a few of those people that I told to come down, they're kind of regretting it, but it's all good.
It's all good. I mean, it probably would never be like that ever again now, but
we'll be long gone.
We'll be
long
gone before that.
Gone. But yeah.
Yeah, so after the 6 weeks, how long was you down there in Dallas?
Maybe about like 9 weeks.
9 weeks.
About 9 weeks. Like I said, after that 5th or 6th week, they had called me in to work at a facility out there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I think it was called Baylor Scott White. That was the name of the hospital. So I was there for a couple of weeks. And then it got to a point where there was a whistleblower. And a whistleblower is essentially, plain and simple, a snitch. You know what I mean? Someone went to the news outlet, was saying, we got all these nurses in the hotel. They're all making $10,000 a week, doing nothing, sleeping, eating, watching NBA games, all this shit. And we have the real nurses in the hospital working, doing everything. It doesn't make sense. What is the government doing with the money? So I guess they looked into things and they realized, this lady's kind of talking facts.
Yeah.
350 people in a hotel getting paid 10 bands a week? Yeah, something's got to change. Yeah. So eventually they kind of they cut off a lot of the nurses that were there. Whether you were stage or even in the hospital, they cut off a lot of nurses just randomly. So I got sent home for a bit, but lucky for me, there was another agency that I went with out in California. They're called Favorite Staffing, something like that. Same thing. I was staged for like 4 weeks there. So I was living in LA. Oh my God. Jacuzzi every night, just with the girls.
I'm about to say,
oh my God.
As a male nurse, because I only was a transport in the hospital, I can honestly say you can have a good ass time in the hospital. You in Cali.
Yes.
A male nurse, you already the 0%. And you black and you tall, man. Yeah. How was Cali living?
Man, all I'm going to say is I don't dip my pen in company ink. That's all I'm saying. You feel me? I don't dip my pen in company ink. So, like I said, I'm just all about my money at this time. I'm just adding up. I'm just adding it up right now, the money. So, yeah. Granted, I did, network, communicate with a lot of them. Some of them I still keep in contacts with. But, yeah, it was just all focused, all making the money.
I'm glad you was like that because I know a lot of people right now, especially nurses. We was talking about this maybe like a month ago. A lot of people blew a lot of that money they made, man. Like,
man, and the crazy thing is, like, in the auditoriums that I was telling you about, man, you would see some of these nurses coming down in like Gucci, Louis, Prada bags, the suitcases, the outfits. I'm like, yo, you guys need to slow down. This shit ain't gonna last forever. Y'all need to invest in this shit. But yeah, a lot of, even like in the airport, man, I could pinpoint a nurse just by seeing what she was wearing or what they were wearing. So yeah, a lot of money was being blown. I remember in Cali, a group of nurses, we all had went to a rooftop party. Man, this one nurse bought everything on the appetizer list. Every single, I couldn't believe it. Dead ass.
it was some people getting to the bag. That's all I can say.
His bill came out to being like $800, $900. I'm like, yo, we making money, but goddamn.
Man, it was people. Man, I was on YouTube. This was like 2 years ago. This what made me think about the conversation. And they was talking about how they made, talk about from that May of 2020 to December, they made $300,000.
Yo, I know people that made a lot more than that.
Really?
Oh my God. Damn near $1 million.
In a year?
Yes. Yes. Because you got to think about it. In a month, you're making 40,000 essentially if you're, you know, if you're working during the pandemic. So in half of that, what is that? That's close to like $500K.
Yeah.
That's $600K.
Oh yeah, and we ain't even talking about like nurse practitioners, anesthesia nurses.
So that's the thing, right? Nurse practitioners and some CRNAs. So during the pandemic, they shut down all surgery cases. That's just because, you know, risk for infection. It could be, you know, the pandemic, COVID. They weren't sure what it was. So they made sure to shut down any elective surgeries.
Okay.
Granted, if it was a trauma, we have no choice but to do surgery on this person. So a lot of CRNAs weren't really working as much at that time unless they were inside the hospital. You feel me? So now you got to think about it like this. Nurse practitioners, CRNAs, they're still RNs. Like, I'm sure they're still paying for their RN license to be active. I know a lot of nurse practitioners that went down a level back to being an RN just to make that $40K a month. Because some nurse practitioners, I know the one that I met, he said he was making $20K a month being a nurse practitioner before the pandemic. And he was still making that during the pandemic. But now, if he goes back down to being an RN, he'd be making double that, which is 40. So I seen a lot of nurse practitioners that were working as an RN again.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's sweet though. I ain't know like, I guess we could talk about that in a little bit. I thought y'all nursing license is active regardless y'all nurse practitioner, anesthesia nurse.
Yeah. I mean, you still got to pay to like renew it every year.
Right.
So you got to pay for your RN license to still be active. And if you're NP, you got to pay for both your RN and your NP license to stay active. Okay. So yeah, it's a lot of money, man. Healthcare, they make so much money, especially nursing.
Yeah, 'cause I think y'all got to pay like $1,000 or something just to be in ICU units or something like that.
I don't think so. You don't have to pay to be in the ICU. No.
You don't? Okay.
No. Once you get hired, you're hired. You know what I mean? But I mean, you do have to do certain like continuing education. Yeah. But it's not up to $100. There's websites that you can just register with. It's probably a couple $100.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sweet though.
Yeah.
That's sweet. So once you leave Cali, I saw one of your episodes. You was in New York?
No. So after Cali, I then went to Louisiana.
Yeah, you went to Louisiana. That's what it was.
Yes. Went to Louisiana. So I was in Louisiana for about 9-10 months. Probably the best time of my life, honestly speaking. Just the weather. I'm not gonna lie, the women. Them Southern women, man. The Southern hospitality is crazy.
That's my third home. I'm just letting y'all know that right now.
Me too. I love Louisiana. The gumbo. Crawfish, etouffee. What are those patients? The beignets?
The beignets.
Listen,
I love Louisiana. And while you was down there, you said you actually purchased a rental home, which was big of you because it's so many nurses that I heard didn't do nothing. Like I said, they blew a lot of their money.
Blew the bag.
I know one nurse that was working at receiving. She actually got a couple box trucks, so she was actually doing her thing.
That's smart.
Yeah,
We're going to have to talk about that off air.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, in Louisiana, so I was there for about 9-10 months, and I was with an agency called Snap Nurse. So same thing. I was staged for a little bit, but I would say maybe for like 2 weeks I was staged. So it wasn't as long. But prior to arriving at Louisiana, the headquarters of that agency was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
So in Atlanta, they flew us all to Atlanta. We all got registered, and then that's when we were told that we were going to be staged. The reason why we were staged was because there was a storm going on in Louisiana. I'm not sure what kind of hurricane or whatever it was, but it was a crazy storm. So they had us in this hotel called the W. I'm not sure if you know what the W is. Fancy
One of them
hotel.
ones.
My God.
It's almost like the Ritz in a certain way. It's one.
I didn't know how to act, man. I didn't know how to act. I was like on the highest floor. Man, the TV had a TV behind it. That's how crazy the room was. And in the shower, like let's say I had a little shorty showering, bro. I could see her shower like a glass window shower. That's how crazy that hotel was. Had a bidet in there. If you don't know what a bidet is, it's that little like fountain. Yeah,
it fucked me the first time
Man, I didn't know what the fuck. I was like, yo, what the fuck's going on?
What hotel? I can't remember what hotel I was in. This had to be when I went to was this Houston? This had to be Houston. No, it was Atlanta.
Yeah.
I stayed in what's that popular ass goddamn hotel?
It had to be the W.
It was popular. It was in Midtown. So
okay.
And man, when I sat down, I thought I was fucking short and like I thought I was that damn rib. I'm like, man, what the fuck is this?
What the going on?
But it's a cool concept though.
It's a interesting concept, man.
It's cool though. But
yeah, I made sure to turn that shit off. But other than that, everything else is cool though, you know. So yeah, they had me in that hotel until like the storm died down, and then they had took me to Louisiana. So I was there for about, like I mentioned, 9-10 months, and around this time they were giving us a stipend.
Okay.
They gave us a stipend of like maybe I want to say $800. Don't quote me, but that was pretty much for food and other things that we may need. But they also had us in a hotel. It wasn't a fancy hotel, just a regular. So we're in the hotel working, boom, boom, boom. But then it got to the point where they cut off the hotel. They said, yeah, we ain't paying for the hotel anymore, but we're going to double your stipend to $1,600 now. And with that, and that's weekly, $1,600 weekly. So you guys can use that money and find a place to rent, and whether it's like a hotel, motel, whatever the case may be, and figure out where you guys are going to live. So I'm like, damn, all right, whatever. So for the first couple of months, I want to say 2-3 months, I was just staying in a motel hotel. It's called like an extended stay.
Okay.
So an extended stay, they got like a microwave in there, a kitchen, stove, all that, but very small. So I was doing that for a little bit until one day at work, I'm like, you know what? This money that I'm getting right now and the money that I've made from the previous contracts that I had, whether it was with Crucial or when I was in California with Favorite, let me just put some of this money into a property. And then from there, I could just stay in that property and then rent the other rooms to other travel nurses. Because I'm sure a lot of these, at that time, I was thinking to myself, a lot of these other nurses are staying in hotels too, but paying a big fee. So that's what I did. I found a property that was literally a minute drive from the hospital that I worked at, purchased that property. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in a gated community. And the plan was to stay in one room and rent the other one. But like I mentioned earlier, nursing is a female-driven profession. So a lot of these women, they don't really want to stay in a home or in a crib with another male, especially if they're married. So that was one of the issues that I was finding or facing. So I said to myself, you know what, let me just thug it out. I'm going to stay in the motel until I can ride this wave out. And I'm going to just rent the property that I just bought to 2 nurses and then just charge them double.
Right.
So I think at the time, I knew how much we were making. I knew how much everybody was making because we were making the same amount. So each room, I was charging these nurses $1,600 for each room. So
a week or a month?
Not a month. So 32.
That's pretty good on that part. They saving that other What, 800? What, 1,600 every 2 weeks?
Pretty much, yeah. Combined, yeah. So that's kind of what I was doing with that property. Still have it right now. Still renting it out to healthcare professionals. There's a website called Furnish Finders.
Okay.
So Furnish Finders is pretty much Airbnb, but for healthcare professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Other people use it too that aren't in healthcare, but it's mainly for healthcare professionals, in my opinion.
That's what's up, man. That's smart. We don't that stuff I be liking to hear because we get here, you know, the good partying, blowing money and all that, but actually using your money to make money is probably one of the smartest things ever.
Big time, man.
And increase your net worth at that. So
yeah, and whenever I go back to Louisiana, I'll stay in one of the rooms in that place and just, see the city, eat some good food, and just enjoy myself. Got a lot of friends out there still that I made connections with, so I love that place, man. I love Louisiana.
That's what's up, man. And with all of that money you made, when I was watching the episode, you paid your mama house off?
Yes. Well, I didn't pay it. I was able to purchase, I guess, the down payment. I put the down payment on her crib.
Okay.
It was a new developmental area, so I put the money down for that. Granted, still a mortgage on it, but for the most part, the down payment was covered.
That's what's up, man. You know how many of us can't even afford to do nothing for our mothers, man? It's real bad out here. They talk about Bidenomics being all this good, but it's the people down bad right now, real bad. And for you to do that, I know she felt so appreciated.
Oh, yeah, she loves that house, man. She's always in the kitchen, and she loves that house. Beautiful area, too.
Beautiful area.
Yeah, very beautiful. It's outside of Toronto, so she loves it. She loves it.
Okay. Now, you said you're in nursing school again at this moment, but getting your master's. So talk a little bit about that right now, so, that process.
Yeah, so I'm doing my nurse practitioner. It's essentially a 2-year program. From there, you can kind of say, I'm not at the level of a doctor, but I'm more so in between. So I'd be able to diagnose, interpret diagnostics like x-rays and stuff like that. Also order and prescribe medications as well too. So I'd be able to do all of that when it's all said and done. Currently right now I'm at a clinic. I'm not going to say the name, but I'm in a clinic close to like the downtown area. It's around the hood actually. Some of the patients that I see that come in, oh my God, insane. So I had this one lady, she had told me, and she looked perfectly fine to me. She probably weighed about 120. She's in her 50s. And she had told me that she experienced a heart attack a year ago. And I'm like, for real? It don't look like you look pretty healthy based on what I'm seeing on your labs. She's like, yeah, I experienced a heart attack. And I'm like, you mind me asking what exactly brought on the heart attack? She told me she was eating at least 10 pounds of French fries a week. My God, the amount of like oil, cholesterol that's all soaked up into that.
Right.
She was eating that. She was eating 10 pounds of French fries for at least 6 months. Okay. And her heart essentially just gave out on her. Damn. Yeah. She survived though, clearly, but now her guilty pleasure now is chocolates. now she a diabetic. But so with nurse practitioner, it's all about education, teaching, making sure they're aware of some of the lifestyle choices that they're making, how they can change, whether it be quitting smoking, exercising more, increasing your vegetables and fruit intake as opposed to, just pastas and rice. Because, I mean, in the African American community, man, when it comes to eating rice and all that, we fill up the plate. I'm guilty of that too. But, the Nutritional Health Association or whatever, they typically say palm size. It should be palm size of rice or carb. And then the rest should be like protein, vegetables, and shit like that. So yeah, with nurse practitioners, just educating. But I'll be done in August next year.
Oh, man. Shout out to you, man. Let me know, man. I got to get you a little something, man, for graduation, man. That's big, man. Because I don't... Honestly, even now, I don't think I know too many nurse practitioner per se, especially, I don't know, not one black male nurse at that. So that's big, man. We really need more male nursing. And with that being said, it's a trend. It's not crazy yet, but it's a trend of down enrollment in nursing right now. Talk about across the board, and it's been like that since like 2019.
Say that again. Down in what?
Like it's the enrollment for nursing.
Oh yeah.
Has been down since about 2019.
Yeah.
And with it's trending down, but the importance of how many nurses we actually need is up right now. How can we fix that? I mean, I know in Michigan they was giving out free tuition, especially for community colleges or whatever. Okay. I know a few people that actually went to community college and got their nursing license, things of that nature. But how can we turn around this trend right now?
Besides the obvious of, pay us more money. I think it comes down to all the horror stories that have been told after the pandemic and during the pandemic. Mm. We've lost a lot of nurses, whether it be to, COVID, actual nurses catching COVID and passing away, or nurses leaving because of the deaths that they've seen and experienced within the field. So those nurses that are leaving, I'm sure they have communicated to other nurses or other people thinking about getting into the profession, and it's kind of spooked them a bit to even go into it. Yeah. So it's a real thing, man. So when it comes down to that, I think that's a part of it right there. Then the second part is you have new nurses that are in the game right now that are being, I guess, bullied in a sense. A lot of the older nurses tend to feed on the younger nurses. Like they're bullying them, scaring them out of the profession. Like they're just not being a resource to them.
Right.
More so a burden. So, sometimes you got these younger nurses that just don't want to go to work, not because they're afraid of the work, but more so they just can't deal with their staff members that are just giving them the tough assignments every shift, or just not helping them with certain patient assignments, whether it's turning a patient or, you could ask a question and the nurse will give you a snarky remark like, what, didn't you just finish nursing school? How come you don't know the answer to that? Mm-hmm. But in this profession, in nursing, you're learning every day. Like you can't know everything. So that's why you got your peers, and your peers are resources. If you don't know something, ask your coworker, ask your colleague. They may know the answer. Yeah. But if you're one of those nurses that gives a snarky remark and just doesn't like to help other nurses, you're going to push them away from the profession.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why we're short-staffed most of the time, because you got these older nurses that are, bullying the young. And then when you're bullying the young, they're going to quit, and then you're going to be even more short-staffed. And then you're going to struggle. So it's like, it's just a vicious cycle. It's a snowball effect, really.
Yeah, for real. Because right now, I know I ain't been in a hospital setting like 2 years now, going on 3. And y'all was already taking too many patients as it is. I'm talking about how many nurses are technically supposed to be with a nurse, specific nurses at that.
If it were me, I would say a 1-to-1 ratio where it's one patient, one nurse. So that way that patient can get your full undivided attention. Mm-hmm. Realistically, in today's game, it's about a 1-to-2 ratio where it's one nurse, 2 patients. But sometimes
I ain't seen, especially, in receiving, I ain't seen something that has 6 patients before.
Yeah, so that's like more so like the med-surg area, which is still crazy in my eye.
Yeah, that's a lot still.
Yeah, in the ICU, it really should be 1 to 2, but sometimes they can triple you, and that's just because you're short-staffed. Or, a more severe or critical patient came onto the floor, so now we got to pass on this less severe patient over to this nurse to give her 3, so that way this nurse can have 1. Because the one patient that this guy just got, where it's 1-to-1, they may die if they don't get their undivided attention. So that's why I think really it should be 1-to-1 for every patient in the ICU specifically.
Right.
And then med-surg, like the unit that you're explaining, it really should be like 1-to-3. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because on those type of units, the patients are realistically walkie-talkie patients.
You're right.
You know what I mean? They're able to get up, use the bathroom, come back. They're watching TV. But sometimes they can be needy, though.
Yeah, because I seen some patients left.
Oh, yeah. They'll leave AMA, which is against medical advice, and they leave AMA because they feel as if no one's listening to them. No one's answering the call lights. Well, the reason being is because we got like 16 patients on this floor, and we're short-staffed, sir. We can't get your apple juice. We can't get you your goddamn Chick-fil-A that you Uber Eats to the hospital.
Right.
We can't go down and pick that up for you. No. So they just got to understand, like, we'll get to you, but we just got so much going on. We got to give this person meds. We got to give that person meds. We got to insert or give this person an injection. There's so much that's going on. We're just short-staffed. That's what it is. And some patients don't understand that. So.
No, they'll never understand that. Yeah. How important is it for everybody to be on one accord? I'm talking about from the doctor to the nurse to transporters to the people who work in the discharge area to people who work in staffing. How important is that for everybody to be on one accord? Because when I was working there, everybody wasn't. It was like y'all will say you put in a discharge patient, right?
Yeah.
At 2:15, but say somebody getting discharged. This is PACU, right? But say somebody getting discharged from, let's say, 3T or whatever. Say 3T be in there since 2:50 and they've been waiting, but your PACU just came out and they come first. We all know PACU, ICU discharges come first. Now that patient from 3T is getting agitated, and that becomes a bad review on our end. How can we help manage that? Like, what can happen to where we can all get on one line?
That's a good question, and I really don't have the answer to that. That's really something that the higher-ups got to figure out. Right. The ones that really get paid the big bucks, the administration and all that. For us, I mean, as you know, collaboration is a key thing in healthcare.
Yeah.
Dreamwork makes a teamwork. I mean, shit, if we were all on the same page, we'd be winning. Everybody would be going home on time. Everybody would be more energetic to want to come into work. But I don't know. It really starts at the top and then it trickles down to the bottom. So I really don't have an answer for that. But it is important for everybody to be on the same page. I think the one thing is that there's different departments. There's nurses, there's transporters, there's RTs, there's doctors. So, I mean, it comes down to the higher ups that are in charge of all those departments to maybe come together and address certain situations that those staff members are facing, like the porters and the nurses, and then they just communicate amongst one another.
Right.
But that shit don't happen. Honestly. Yeah. It don't happen.
Yeah. Because the reason I ask that is because I hear a lot of nurses say it's a difference between working in a hospital that's owned by the state rather than owned by a company. Like it's two different type of environments there.
No, definitely. Like one thing for sure, I don't know if you know the VA. That place is magical. I feel like that's probably the best scenario that a nurse can get into. I think it's just ran differently. If all these other facilities like Receiving, Harper, et cetera, were like the VA, oh my God. Everybody would be going home on time. Like it would just be more of a teamwork setting. I don't know. I can't explain it. I've never been there, but I've heard stories about how the VA is so amazing. Like the pensions, the benefits that they get, the resources, it's top of the line.
Right.
I feel like if every facility can emulate or reflect on what the VA does, everything would be more simple.
Yeah, I agree with you. I got a couple questions before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
I want to know is why are nurses and doctors putting their licenses on the line, especially when it comes to like stealing medicines and medications and putting things in people's name. Like we just saw in Detroit a couple months ago where some doctors actually got busted for having this big old like drug not cartel, but this drug conspiracy to sell drugs to, regular street guys and, make a profit off it. It was like a $20 million. Yeah, like like
20 M's?
20 M's.
God damn.
And I just don't understand. Y'all work so hard to get that license. You gonna put it on your line just for a moment?
It comes down to the moolah, the monions. You know what I mean? Like 20 M's is a lot. Hell, you got me thinking right now. Maybe I should start trapping some narcotics and fentanyl. That Fenty. I don't know. But no, honestly speaking, don't do that. Don't do that. If you're a nurse, healthcare professional, don't do that at all. I don't know. Some people just love risks. I don't know. They just love the risk taking. But I don't know why they put all that hard work on the line just for the moment, like you said. for most doctors, they do what, 8 to 10 years of schooling? And you're going to flush that down for a moment and then spend time behind bars? It don't make sense. The math don't add up.
At all.
But no, you're right. Narcotics, drugs within healthcare and selling it on the street, it's a big thing. Like you hear it a lot in today's generation, especially in the music. You see it in TV shows to the point where people actually think it's easy to do.
Right.
But in reality, nah, they can catch your ass and you'll be burnt up quick.
Oh yeah, real quick.
Real quick, man. So I wouldn't advise anybody to do that. Find a safer and more legal way on making more money.
Is that a reason why? Well, I worked in a couple different hospitals, but at the hospital we worked at specifically, y'all actually had to have witnesses to actually get the medication out?
Yes. I'm not sure how it was done back in the day, 70s, 80s, or hell, even the 90s. Technology wasn't really that advanced back then, but these days they put medication in this machine called the Pyxis or Omnicell. Now, to get into it, you got to use your fingerprint, which they set up during, your first day on the job or orientation. So you put your finger on there, it takes your fingerprint, and then the machine will open. From there, you're able to select drugs that that it's needed for your patient to be administered for the shift or whatever the case may be. But yeah, for high alert medications like your heparin or your insulins or your narcotics, opioids, whatever the case may be, you definitely need a secondary check because it's so easy to just steal medication and it may not be accounted for. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's really, honestly, if I was a criminal, it's not that hard to finesse and steal medications in the healthcare setting. It's not at all. It's really not. That's why you see it so often. It's being done so often that people don't really think to realize that, anybody can do this. And it's so easy to backtrack and figure out who did it because it's your fingerprint that's being used to access the machine.
Right. But
that's really what it comes down to. Then you got some not patients, but some nurses who, their patient needs pain medicine through the IV, whether it's fentanyl, Dilaudid, and they'll go get it, but then they switch it and give them something completely different and pocket the real medication. So I know there was a nurse recently that was giving their patient tap water instead of actual pain medicine. And this patient was complaining day in, day out, my pain, like, it's not helping. And sometimes, when you hear a patient say things like that, you think they're just being like junkies. You think they're a junkie. Like, yo, they just gave you some pain medicine. What do you mean your pain's still a 10 out of 10? When in reality, the nurse is just pocketing the fentanyl and switching it with like tap water. So they caught her because I guess the tap water that she was using was infested with something. I don't know. The tap water wasn't that good. I don't know what the hell was in it. So they ran tests. Some of these patients were infected with something through their blood tests. So then they did a deep dive, went back in time and found out that it was specifically this nurse that was causing the issue. They were giving the patient tap water as opposed to their Dilaudid or fentanyl. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Insane.
How many crazy patients have you had? Like patients that tried to
swing on me?
Yeah, I had a patient when I was a sitter. Oh man.
Shit.
He ain't swing on me, but he thought about it.
I've had one patient that tried to swing on me. But goddamn, I'm like Floyd Money May, and I'm like, you miss me, bitch. You miss me. Try next time. Nah, this one patient, and she was a female. I've seen patients kick nurses in the head. Spit on nurses. I've seen it all. Call me the N-word. Like, goddamn, I've seen it all. But a lot of the time, I mean, besides that one moment where the female tried to swing, no one's really tried swinging on me. Psych patients, ER patients. I think once they see that I'm black, I'm tall, they don't really try much.
Yeah, I think they really be trying the little ones. That's just my opinion. When it comes to women,
they try the little ones, and then they try the females.
Yeah, they definitely try them because I ain't seen some females like get. I'm up there like, damn.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's mainly the females that I see get hurt. I've never seen a male nurse get punched, not swung at, but like punched on, like connected.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we just have faster reflexes. I don't know. Or maybe we just have the instinct. But some of y'all female healthcare members, staff, whatever the case may be, y'all need to start getting some instincts because, y'all, it's like women just love the altercation with some of these patients.
Oh yeah. Some of them really
Like
be going back and
fiend
forth.
for it. Or to the point where I had to like slide in between and be like, listen, you need to back up. You're a little bit too hostile, miss. This patient will swing on your ass because you're giving her some attitude, or him. You're giving him some attitude as well too. So be careful. So I had to step in between a patient and a nurse a few times.
So with that being said, it sounds like male nurses or male just professionals are needed in the healthcare field.
100%. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you subtract male healthcare staff, whether it's nurses, doctors, male transporters, what else? Whatever the case may be, if you eliminate males from healthcare, the system's gonna crash.
It's gonna crash.
Who's gonna be lifting up these heavy ass patients?
Cause I live, man.
Who's gonna be de-escalating these situations with these crazy patients? It ain't gonna be the females.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That hospital gonna burn down to hell.
Shoot, that was my question.
Oh my God. So you need males in the healthcare setting. Now, I'm gonna switch it around. What happens if we eliminate females from the healthcare profession?
Oh
shit. Paradise. Probably paradise if you ask me. Honestly speaking. Probably paradise. No disrespect, but I'm gonna be honest. The amount of gossip, fights that I seen between female staff members, it's just ridiculous.
When it comes to that, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, because I ain't never seen no male, or at least when I was there, and I was there for 8 years. I ain't never seen no male altercation that.
I've seen male, female, but most of the time it's the female that started it.
Yeah.
But female to female, oh my God, at least 70% of the time in healthcare settings.
I wonder what it is, though.
It's just that time of the month. They bleeding. They be bleeding for that week, and hormones just get all mumbo-jumboed. But yeah, I think it's just that time of the month for some of the females, and they're just looking for an argument.
Yeah.
But I respect all y'all female healthcare workers, though. Don't come at me. Don't cancel me, all right? I'm just saying my opinion. I think that's what it comes down to. But, female nurses are there. They are needed, though, for sure.
Oh, yeah. They definitely are. We need each other. I always say that.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to relationship, it's a team effort, man.
Yeah.
But some of y'all ladies, y'all just it's okay.
Yeah.
Y'all need us at the end of the day. We need y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all might need us a little bit more.
You were right.
Because it been plenty of times. I was a transporter at the time, and nurses was calling me to help them out.
Man.
Like this I'm not lying. I'm talking about them heavy 400, 500, 600 pound patients where you got to put the lift thing on there so they can get on this machine and lift on one bed and the other.
The Hoyer lift or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah,
man.
All the time, man. So yeah, it really comes down to that: transporting patients, lifting patients, de-escalating situations. All those things matter.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's tough. So if it was a 100% females in the hospital and no males, I can't lie. They may struggle. The facility may struggle. Males are definitely needed.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
And before we wrap it up, man, I see the HIV rates has been going sky high, especially in the hospital. Like, how has that been on you per se? Because I know a lot of people come in there and they be traumatized. I'm talking about the patients that actually realize they have these diseases or whatever. They be traumatized. And I know, HIPAA, we can't specifically talk about certain people, but there are people that literally don't even want to kill themselves.
Yeah. So like you mentioned with the HIV rates, it's sporadically increasing. I even see it in the community as well too when patients are coming into the clinic. Because when a patient comes in and they're a new visit, we got to do a whole set of lab work, get urine, and a lot of them be coming in with different STIs and HIV, like you mentioned. Now, it could be because they're sharing needles amongst one another.
That's very common.
Unsafe sex, whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's an issue. I had one girl, she came in, and it wasn't HIV or anything, but it was an STI, and she didn't know. she didn't know she had it. She didn't know she had an STI. And she thought her man was being faithful, but unfortunately he wasn't. He must have been sleeping around with some other women. But yeah, I think when it comes down to with STI specifically, you got to really communicate with your partner. Make sure you get tested before you engage in anything, honestly speaking. Because if you're untreated, the amount of side effects or issues that may be brought up with that, whether it's neurological issues, whatever the case may be, it can impact you greatly. So, but I don't know with the HIV rates, man. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, man. It's
because it's especially like in Houston, it climbed.
Yeah,
like,
I saw Houston was number one now.
Yeah. Like,
man.
I don't know what the fuck going on now.
And people still moving out to Houston.
I mean, it is beautiful down there in Houston.
Yeah, it is beautiful down there. I will say that. Their food's good too, man. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on in Houston, man. But yeah, it is a problem. They need to figure something out.
Just go get yourself checked out. Make sure y'all use protection. If not, be abstinent. Shit, just wait, man.
And that's the thing, like, if you know that you have HIV and you engage in sexual activity with someone and they're unaware, that's prison time. Oh, that's automatic prison time. So that's why they highly, you have to communicate with your partner if you have some type of transmittable disease. So it happens a lot, especially in the clinics that I've shadowed in. A lot of people are just unaware that they contracted this disease, and they're like, "Whoa, are you serious?" But yeah, that's one thing. You gotta communicate with your partner and let them know before they engage in anything.
Okay,
it's nuts. It's nuts out here in this world.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Y'all just be safe out here, man. But what do you want to leave the people with, man? What you got going further after this, man? Talk about your Scrub Me In podcast.
Yeah, Scrub Me In podcast. It's a nursing podcast that me and my homeboy Anthony are a part of. We talk about everything within the healthcare field, similar to like what we just talked about today. Typically, you can catch us on Mondays. Right now, we're in the process of filming season 2. That should be out probably mid-November.
Okay.
That'll be another 10-pack episode coming out. So episodes 11 to 20 we'll have, or 10 to 20, whichever it is. But yeah, we got a few guests coming on there. Tap into that. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Instagram. I think it's Scrub Me In Podcast. Yeah, Scrub Me In Podcast. And check us out, follow us, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
I'm going to leave all of their socials in the description, and I'm going to tag them on my actual YouTube page. So y'all will be able to follow them, man. But
my main page got shut down. I got hacked, guys. So for the individuals that think I have a Cybertruck and I'm big on Bitcoin, I am not. I just got hacked. So don't mind all that you see on Instagram. Yeah. I'm trying to recover my account right now.
Say that ain't from the pandemic.
Yeah, that it's not from the pandemic. That's some other shit. That ain't me. That ain't me.
Oh man,
yeah,
man, this has been a great sit down, man. I appreciate you coming on here, especially educating people too, because like I said, nursing and something, I'm always fighting for y'all pay to up and all that, and we actually need more. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man, anytime.
And this ain't gonna be the last time at all. Like, we're gonna give you an update. We might get an update as soon as he graduates. He'll come and he'll speak to y'all even further about nurse practitioner, man. So
I'm gonna try and bring my co-host too as well.
Yeah, we need to bring him next time.
I love what you got going on, man. I'd love to be a guest again in the future. I even need to get you on my podcast and hear some of your stories.
Man,
I know you got them.
I got so many stories, man. We're going to have to bleep a lot of stuff out. It's crazy what be going on up in there, man. It's a lot of married folks. Woo!
Oh, I'm aware.
It's a lot of work wives that literally be working. I appreciate you again, man.
Yes, sir,
Listen, anything you need from me, I'm always here, man. So,
likewise. Thank you.
Like I said, this is the Sit with Scrub Me In podcast. Junior here. I appreciate y'all. Please make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to both our channels.
Yes, sir.
And, man, we want to be great, man. We don't want to do this alone. Tap in with him, tap in with me. We both got different things going on, but we all going forward. So That's the main thing, man. Positivity. So thank y'all. I love y'all. Peace out.